Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Yeah. Yeah, man, just like a 5 day update of these pups. Everybody doing good. Mom handling her business, taking care of the pups the way she's supposed to. Like I said, these, see, this is the Tank and Yoda Little. As you see, girl, my girl Yoda is a great, 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 great mom. Handling her business, standing on business, you know what I mean? Making sure these pups well taken care of. Like I said, this is a very, very, very nice little, man. Like I said, I'm probably gonna repeat this breed, you know what I mean, just because the results was, you know what I mean, was flawless. I mean, straight teddy barrels, man. And you can see, like I said, she already was a great muscle tone dog, you know what I mean? I'm talking real solid, real sharp, real compact, very muscular female, you know what I mean? Like I said, I ain't riding nobody way to get these little pups, you know what I mean? Like I said, of course her dad, you know what I mean, he's known, like, well, granddad, he's a very popular dog, you know. But I wasn't trying to just, you know what I mean, tap into no popular bloods, you know what I mean, to create this little pups right here, you know what I mean. It was more me trying to get my own vision of dogs, my own look of dogs, and that's what I got with these dogs, you know. Like I said, I done made my mind up. This Merle boy, he gonna stay with the camp. Lay down, girl. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Yeah, this Merle boy right here, he gonna stay with the camp. Yeah, man. I've been calling him Big Ben, like I said, because his daddy name Banks, you know what I mean? So this Big Ben right here, like I said, he doing very, very great. Very short, very compact. Big, stupid dome. You know what I mean? Very nice. Try see mirror markings up on him, or mirror coat up on him. Just all around pretty pup. You know what I mean? Would have been my first mirror pup, literally mirror pup. You know what I mean? Dad got mirror looks, but I ain't just never really had no mirror pup. You know what I mean? I always wanted to put one into the count and create my own mirror, my vision mirror, which this boy is it. You know what I mean? He's thick. This right here is a brother to him. Very thick. Only thing different between him and his brother, like I said, he got a like a seal looking look to him. A more, I like to call it seal. Uh, it's like a seal look to him. You know what I mean? But short, big stupid dome, short, thick, nice legs. I mean, short little legs, thick, nice, just nice little pup. You know what I mean? Like I said, these some very nice pups, man. This female right here, and that boy, he's up for grabs, like I said, and I want to touch on some free basics. Like I said, this is the first part of the video. I'm gonna drop another video later on. I just said let me go ahead while I'm just sitting in the house chilling. Let me give y'all a little update up on these pups. But I'm gonna drop another second part of this video, and like I said, and it's gonna be called, you know what I mean? What it's gonna pretty much let people know y'all gotta start somewhere. You know what I mean? Like I said, I jumped into this dog game really with, like I said, with not a whole lot of money. Like I said, but I always had dogs, you know what I mean? But me jumping person to this game the way I did, like I said, you know what I mean, start my own business with these dogs. You know, I didn't have a whole lot of money. Started with $1, $2, $3, worked my way on up, you know what I mean? And like I said, now I got a whole nice yard full of dogs, you know what I mean? This very nice. I'm talking beautiful dogs, you know what I mean? Like top tier dogs or dogs I used to see up on, you know what I mean, online and on TV, and I always wanted, you know what I mean? But you gotta start from somewhere, you know what I mean? And that's why, like I said, I'm one for my younger fans that watch this, even same age or older, you know what I mean? I want to let y'all know there's nothing wrong with, like I said, and getting in this game, you know what I mean, and giving and just investing into, you know what I mean? Say, cause me, what I'm basically saying, I got dogs, like I said, without papers. I got dogs with papers. These dogs, of course, come with papers. You know what I mean? They're gonna be dual registered, UKC, ABR registered. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for their dad paperwork to come back if I can send his and all, so I can send my little registration off for these, because I'm registering him with UKC as well. So they're gonna be a dual registered little right here. You know what I mean? But what I was getting back to saying, I got dogs without papers and I got dogs with papers. And my dog without papers are great dogs as well. And I started with a few dogs, I ain't gonna say without papers, you know what I mean? But came out paper dogs, but I didn't have paperwork up on none. You know what I mean? Because I was just looking for good quality dogs, like I said, to get started. But like I said, I worked my way on up. So started with them dogs, sold them dogs, made some money, made good money with them when I first started off. I was selling them dogs around 400 and 450 when I first started off. You know, my prices went up because, you know, like I said, different day, different price, you know what I mean? But I took them dogs from them $400 dogs, $450 dogs, and I bought me 2 dogs with papers. Then I eventually bought me a few other more dogs with papers, you know what I mean? And started just buying my paper dogs then, you know. So now I got a yard full of paper dogs, and I got still non-paper dogs. And like I said, and when you jumping in this game, just jumping into any, like I said, in this business, you know what I mean? It's okay to start with some dogs without papers, you know what I mean? It's all about the hustle in you and what you're going in the vision that you have, you know what I mean? Because to this day, like I tell you, I still love and still gonna forever breed my dogs without papers, you know what I mean? And put them in homes, cause like I said, cause don't get me wrong, don't just like I said, go buy no any kind of thing, no any kind of dogs. Cause like I said, you don't want to get stuck with no bull comb. And like I said, if you're gonna buy a dog, me personally, a lot of people like looking at papers and just, you know what I mean, and looking at the dog. But I'm more into the breeder. You know what I mean? I'm more just looking at the mindset of the breeder and the route that the breeder going before I do business with somebody. Cause you gotta have, you know what I mean, you gotta have some rank out here. You gotta been out here producing some stuff for me to sit back and just actually want to purchase something off you. That's how it was. Period. Like I said, that's how I'm is. You know, you can have plenty of dogs, like I said, that look good, but if the breeder ain't certified, you know what I mean, he could just be buying 2 dogs and he not knowing nothing about it. You know what I mean? So I'm more on the mindset of the breeder. But like I said, man, these pups right here, these are good pups if you want good pups if you want foundation dogs. If you want to start your own business, like I said, because these dogs can cost a pretty penny. You know what I mean? If you hop in the game, it depends on what your money is. Like I said, where your mind is. Like I said, because you know I got game dogs up in the come with papers as well. If you want to look into some game dogs with the papers, but it's all about which way you're going and what you're trying to do and what you can afford at the moment. You know what I mean? And like I said, and continue your process with breed and bettering your account and getting a set of dogs of, you know what I mean, the type of dog that you want. This the little girl right here. I mean, she is so gorgeous. You know what I mean? I want to show her when she got out the titty. She a little bit way small. I think she definitely gonna be a very nano female, which I think them boys gonna be very short and thick as well. You know what I mean? But I think she gonna be more a little even smaller than them. But she's a very little small female with a nice block side head up on. You know what I mean? Very pretty pup. You know what I mean? But yeah. But I'm gonna touch bases later on, and I'm gonna speak on, like I said, a little more of that. This is just the first part of this video. Yeah. Well, man, yeah, I'm back in it. And like I said, man, I just wanted to let people know, like I said, man, especially all people who watch me and everything, man, that you got to start from somewhere, man. Like I said, I know a lot of people watch me, they probably like, man, he got everything a man can ask for, you know what I mean? Or just looking at my life thinking, I got it easy out here. Man, you don't know how much work that I can put into this stuff, man. How many, like I said, losses I done took. How much stuff I had to go through in life, like I said, to get where I'm at, man. You know what I mean? Like I said, so don't hate me or be envious of me. Like I said, just know it was way harder, like I said, for me to make it than what you see today. You know what I mean? Like I said, this come from years and years of sitting back doing what I got to. You know what I mean? To sit back and get where I'm at out here in life, man. Like I said, that's what it's all about, man. Staying dedicated, man. Never giving up on what you believe in. Always going hard for what you want. You know what I mean? Don't let people discourage you, because you in life, you're going to have so many people trying to sit back and bring you down. Like I said, trying to slow you down up on your road to trying to get to where you're trying to get at. Don't never let them discourage you. Don't never let life beat you up to the point where you feel like you can't get back up. You know what I mean? That's why I admire these breeding animals so much. You know what I mean? Because, you know, they got that never give up, like I said, drive to them that I have. You know what I mean? I'd have been through so much that I could have just gave up on and just threw the towel in and not want to continue. You know what I mean? But instead of me giving up, I took everything that they thrown at me, used as motivation to keep going. Like I said, you're gonna lose so many people along your way on up to the top. Like I said, cause you grow, you're gonna shed off the loose skin, you know what I mean? If people that ain't meant to be there, like I said, you're gonna take all kind of life, like losses in life that you know what I mean, make you feel like you can't continue to keep going and make you feel like you gotta give up. Like I said, that's never been an option for me, you know what I mean? Like I said, I come from a family, like I said, that didn't have a whole lot of nothing. We made the best of what we had. And like I said, to this day, I take that, you know what I mean, I use that, like I said, that to motivate me to keep on going and be able to make a better way for my kids and give them more than what I had. And not only that, like I said, for me to continue to keep going and never have to look back at where I came from. Sometimes, but ain't nothing wrong with looking back, you know what I mean? I like to look back, like I said, because it motivates me to keep going, you know what I mean? And just to see how far I done came. Like I said, with this life, you're gonna have all kinds of things going on with you, man. Like I said, but I'm 10 toes in. Like I said, I got so many different littles up on the ground that are finna be dropping, you know what I mean? That could help people get in a better position, help people upgrade their camps. The little pups in the house, you know what I mean? They mirror carriers. Like I said, I know a lot of people think, like I said, just because they black, you know what I mean, the two pups don't have one for grab, that you know what I mean, that they don't produce no color. But you can see with their mom, she threw a Merle. Dad, he brown with Merle lips, she threw all out Merle pups. So it's all about the Merle DNA. Like I said, and with that little with Coco and Caesar, you see what they producing, man. High caliber, high driven dogs, you know what I mean? Very, very nice dogs, you know what I mean? That with a hellified prey drive, you know what I mean? Good working stock, good bone, very, very nice animals, you know what I mean? Out that Coco and Caesar breed. And that Dino and Bloody Mary little. Straight grand champion, come out with straight grand champion. Even Caesar, you know what I mean? His dad's straight grand champion. Mom could have easily made champion all around the world. Like I said, you know what I mean? But like I said, I produce high caliber dogs, you know what I mean? And like I said, when dealing with these dogs, this is what you want to do. You want to make sure you continue to throw nice dogs. Make sure you breed in a direction that's going to upgrade your count. Make sure you're making the right, like I said, calculated moves, you know what I mean? Strategic moves, you know what I mean? They're going to elevate you and put you in a higher position, you know what I mean? That's old Caesar over there, I mean, Hitman over there in the cut. He's feeling better, looking better, you know what I mean? I shook him back from the dead. But like I said, man, I've always been a driven person, you know what I mean? You got to have that drive in you if you want to continue to make out here in life, you know what I mean? I'm up every day out here trying to find something that's going to better me, or better my program, or better things around me. You know what I mean? I ain't got time for that tough guy act. I ain't got time for just sitting around being mad and bitter at the world for things not going in my favor. I take what it comes with it and I make the best out of it. You know what I mean? But like I said, I just want to motivate anybody who's watching me, man, like I said, and sitting around, like I said, because I see the more I drop good content with me elevating, the less views I get, you know what I mean? Cause I think a lot of people don't like to see you make it. They only want to hear you talk about your downfall. You know what I mean? I put the bad out here, like I said, but I'm gonna keep it good in their face, especially for the ones who want to see me down. Like I said, because me personally, like I said, I take all that stuff right there and I use it to keep on going. You know what I mean? I don't let nobody say or nothing in this world, like I said, nothing this world got going on, putting me in a headspace and feeling like I can't achieve and become what I'm trying to become out here, you know what I mean? I done came a long way with these dogs, still got a long ways to go. I'm enjoying the journey. I'm gonna keep on, like I said, just, you know what I mean, putting good dogs on the ground, continue, like I said, stay on top of my grind. Like I said, you know what I mean, doing what I do best and what I love, you know what I mean? This is my passion, like I said. And if you're jumping into these dogs, you want to make sure, like I said, this is what you really want, you know what I mean? Because like I said, if it's not what you want, you're not going to want to stick with it. Yeah. But, man, that's all I got for y'all today. I ain't want to make this video too long. I just want to give y'all a real update and just give y'all a little words of encouragement, man. That's all I was coming on for here today, man. Like I said, that's my boy Barrel up here, you know what I mean? Looking very, very good, showing good signs. I'm ready to go and get my girl Bunny dropped. She'll be dropping today or tomorrow. I ain't taking to the vet today, but tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to take her to the vet and hoping she, like I said, she at the levels where she can go ahead and get her C-section did. Like I said, man, we out. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay productive. Stay taking care of your loved ones, the people who love the people who love you. You know what I mean? We out. Stay blessed.